So this is it's not exactly a segue. It'll tie back in, but we had Richard Beck here for our Faith Forum here at Central.
Good.
It was wonderful.
Excellent.
If you guys didn't listen to our second episode, Richard Beck was here with us in the room, which was pretty cool. So he talked about how to find meaning in life, and he gave us these three things. He talked about story, being part of a bigger story. He talked about our purpose, finding what our purpose is in life. And then the last piece was worth. Where do we find our worth, or where do we matter? So I wonder, thinking about what makes abundant life, those three things, story, purpose, and worth, does that tie into this conversation somehow?
Well, I think so. I mean, Dr. Beck was exceptional, and I really appreciated what he had to offer and what he had to share. As I think about the idea of story, boy, we seem like people who are captivated with story. We're storied people. I think it's Elie Wiesel who said, God made man because he loves stories. Yeah. And we are people who are engaged in story all day long, it seems like to me. And if we can find ourselves as a part of a bigger story, a bigger narrative, a more meaningful narrative, being a part of God's story, well, now life brings much more significance, right? I'm a part of something bigger and greater than myself.
You bring that up, and I'm thinking about, I do this a lot, I realize this, but some of our younger generations, and not that this is in competition with one another, but I do see, like, the story that I grew up with and I was brought into is a story of finding meaning and value in your vocation or your career and in the family you build and the house. Some people call that the American dream. I think it's very beautiful in finding meaning and identity in your career and in your family. But I would say I do think there are different generations or different cultures. I just think there's diversity in this, in which part of the story matters. And so as much as like a career matters to maybe this emerging generation, they're also asking other questions like, is there more to life than just a job? And so I think people have this kind of this want to be a part of a greater story than themselves. And so I would agree. I think story helps capture human imagination. So I don't know. I'm all about joining a better story than my own.
You know, that is another thing that Richard Beck talked about, is that we can get too stuck in our own stories. If we're not paying attention to a bigger story, we're so introspective that we're going back over this cycle of just being stuck inside ourselves. And finding identity outside of myself is critical to being a whole person, I think.
And I will say this one more thing about this, because as I was talking, I was thinking, on the other side, I also think it's important to have shared stories.